Locked in my room, 4 black walls, tied the noose, no recall, no result. Fuck withdraw, rather shoot up till I fall. Murder on call with the 5-9, 20 years and it seemed like a lifetime. I've been hanging every day from a lifeline. Bodies fucking sailor dinner every nighttime. Smoking that dope off the floor, let me ball. Hopefully don't come, don't fuck with y'all. Spray paint the walls with blood and whatever. Drag you outside, let you rot in the weather.
Hey, how's it going? Hope you're having a shit one. Today's video is sponsored by Skylum. And I don't do a lot of sponsored content on this channel because I feel a lot of the brands that reach out to me that want to do sponsored content are usually full of shit. And I don't really like a lot of the things that they're trying to sell me or tell me about to put on my channel to tell you about. And it wasn't actually until I watched Liam's video, or 7th Era, for some of you may know him as that. He made a video with these guys, with Skylum, not too long ago about Lumina 4. And I was blown away with some of the capabilities of that editing software, that when Skylum reached out to me to tell me about their new software coming out, Lumina AI, I couldn't help but make a video on it. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be editing this photo shoot that I did recently of this 2002 sunset burnt orange. I don't actually know the color code of the car. I should probably search that up, but I don't really care. This 2002 Honda NSX from V-Spec Performance. Now, I love this car. I've always loved the NSXs. Like, I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't love a good NSX? But this one particularly, 45,000 Ks on the clock. They've put the Type R wheels on it. They've put a new carbon hood on it. It's manual. It's the right color. It's a super clean example of an NSX, and I just love these cars, man. I just think that they look like nothing else on the road. Nothing quite looks like an NSX. I took all these photos actually on the Sigma 40mm here, and the more zoomed in ones you'll see later on in the shoot, I used a Sigma 85mm, and I used a polarizer on both the 40mm and the 85. The polarizer helped a lot because at the end of the day, cars are massive mirrors and just want to reflect everything. So when you have a polarizer, it pretty much helps cut out a lot of reflections and glare out of really whatever it is that you're shooting. So that is one important tip for car photography. Lumina AI, as it's in the name, Lumina Artificial Intelligence, is an editing software that basically thinks for you, hence the AI. So there's a lot of AI things in here. There's enhanced AI, structure AI. You come to creative, you have sky AI, augmented sky AI, atmosphere AI. There's a lot of artificial intelligence in this program. Anyway, I'm gonna actually just shut the fuck up because I'm just gonna show you how easy it is just to go in here and go sunset 4, and it just puts in a sunset without even, like, we're gonna be playing around with it a little bit, but it just puts in a sunset immediately into your image. And if we change our horizon positioning here, because it's supposed to be later in the day when the sunset's sort of happening, then we can start to relight the scene to make it look like this is shot more at sunset, and then we can close the gaps around the buildings here. We're just gonna defocus the sky a little bit, and then maybe we can just darken the sky a little bit. And with a few buttons, we've pretty drastically changed the image here. I would use something like this because this brings me into an interesting point about this software and the future for photography. For something like this, if I'm doing a photo shoot for a client and I really want to make a great impression, it makes it so easy to manipulate your photo like this to make it 10 times better than what it was. Like, really, who wants to see a sky like that when you can have a sky like that, right? I can already hear the photography purists screaming before we even go into the rest of this video. I can hear all the photography purists saying, oh, you know, it's not real photography, you know, that's just photo manipulation, you know, all this kind of stuff. Which is right, which it is, because you are technically now manipulating the photo to be something that it wasn't originally intended to be. But at the same time, and although that it is a great art form with photography to be able to compose a shot and have an amazing, well-composed shot with a great sunset and a subject, and for everything to work well in an image straight out of the camera with minimal editing is an amazing skill to have with photography. But also, if we do this, I've put a sunset in and I come into augmented sky, I can now chuck an aurora in if I want to, or I can chuck some balloons in, or I can chuck a bloody space shuttle in if I want to, at literally the click of a button. Just because I can add all this shit into my image, You know, if I add auroras and balloons and birds and space shuttles and sunsets, is that gonna make my image look good? No, it'll make it look fucked. So there is still definitely a skill set and an art form to manipulating an image as well. And at the end of the day, I don't really think it fucking matters, to be honest. I mean, if you like editing your pictures this way, go for it. And I think when you come into the creative section of this program, it makes it really fun and really easy to get creative with your images, if that makes sense. So for here, let's start off in our essentials. We're gonna come into our light. I'm gonna bring my exposure up a little bit. The top of the image is where all the exposure is really, is where all the highlights are at least. I like, if you look really closely here, you can see on your tone curve, if you're playing around, if you like playing around individually with each color, you can see exactly where your other colors are, where if you want to realign them to sort of suit a different tone, which really helps me because I do that quite a bit with a lot of my edits. So I can bring it up and make sure they sort of all match here. Okay, so obviously it's very contrasty now, so I'm gonna we're gonna go into smart contrast, bring out a bit of contrast out of our image. And I feel like we need to come into our enhance or structure AI. Maybe not that. Structure AI. Yeah, there you go. Just a little bit, maybe 20%. And we'll give it a 15% boost. All right, local masking, I'm gonna add a mask in. I'm gonna put a graduated filter over the sky here because I wanna bring the highlights down a little bit. So I'm gonna bring one over here. Highlights down, exposure down a little bit. Cool, all right, and then I'm gonna add another graduated filter. I'm just gonna go select, drag it off to the side here. I'm gonna brighten up the side. Come on. Exposure up on the side here. Just something like that. And we might bring a bit of saturation and vibrance out of it. Bring a bit of a cooler tone into the side. Very nice. And now I'm just, lastly, I think I'll just come into a bit of the colors here. I'll bring the luminance up for my reds just to make them a bit brighter. Just a little bit of the blues out and maybe some of the greens because there's a bit of the green in the windscreen. Most cars, their windscreens are usually a mix between the greens and cyans. And sometimes I just don't like it, so we just try and take a little bit out. We've got before, after, very clean, simple edit. This is an 85mm shot. That's what I was saying before about the mixture between photography and photo manipulation, but if there was a sunset for this photo shoot, it would literally just make it that much better because of the car's color as well, and I think a lot of people would agree with me here. And I do really like Sunset 4 as a preset, but if you come in here, you can see that you can add a whole bunch of different ones in here. We can add bright blue skies, we can add dramatic sunsets, we can add a starry night, which is crazy, sunset clouds. There's a lot of different styles of sunsets, but Sunset 4 as just a preset is one that I really like. And you can even download new ones from them, or you can even load your own skies in, which is pretty cool. What I like about this program is it's very easy to use. Like, it's very intuitive to defocus the sky. So obviously when you just put the sunset in, you can't just have it like that because the only part of the image that's in focus is the back of the car. So naturally you need to defocus the sky. And it gives you a very natural defocusing. You know, you don't have to, there's no like advanced settings to defocus the sky. You just defocus it. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily a bad thing. I know I can hear the purists screaming again, but it is about the process, you know, it's an art form. Which I get, I totally get that. And sometimes there is days that you just want to sit there and you're having fun with it and you just want to play around with your editing. But if you're trying to edit a bulk amount of photos, which you might do if I have a car shoot that I've done where I've got a lot of photos to edit, or if I do real estate photography, or if I do wedding photography or something like that, or if I'm doing photos for a client that I'm not going to sit there and play around with and fine tune, this editing software is something that you can just quickly edit a bulk amount of photos. Okay, I feel like this is a picture that we can try and sort of fix up. The colors are a bit wrong here. The oranges are a bit dull. There's a lot of green in the image here. There's green and blue on the ground here and stuff. It looks a bit choppy up here, so we can crop it in. There's a lot that we can fix up here. I reckon we could literally just take out all the saturation out of pretty much everything except for the yellows and the reds. Bump them up. And I think the hue can just come over from the yellows just to accentuate the orange a bit more. And I might even bring up the luminance a little bit. Oh yeah, I like the luminance down on the blues here. Okay, maybe we took too much blue out. Let's just go back into our hue. Sorry, let's go back into our saturation and we'll bring just a little bit of blue, maybe not too much. And quite a bit of structure. We can make this sort of a grungier edit. 20% structure AI. Sweet, we're coming to a tone curve. I'm gonna bring up my shadows here. I'm just gonna crush my blacks a little bit. You know, I just think I want to change the composition a little bit here, just crop it in, because it'll probably help me edit this image a bit better. That's pretty wallpaper worthy, in my opinion. Let's just see what happens if we add a graduated filter over the top here. Gradient mask, drag on over there, so it's just affecting sort of this side, or exposure down. Ooh, down. Warmth down as well, a little bit. AI structure up, shadows down a little bit. Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. If we come into creative and we come into toning, we can change this. We can sort of give it that, just a little bit of a bluey, browny, dark green sort of feel to it. So I'm gonna bring saturation in for my highlights and my shadows. And my shadows are gonna be this dark bluey green about there. And we'll try a bit of orange for the highlights here, so it's sort of surrounding around the car here. It's off, on. Just a little bit, a tiny hint. You know what I mean? That's what I like to do with the toning there. That's a wallpaper worthy shot, I reckon. Nice, we just crushed the blacks a little bit, gave it a bit more oomph, brought out a bit of the color out of the car. Yeah, I really like these overhead shots actually. I actually really like this one. So I'm just gonna come in actually, we're gonna paste the settings from the other angle onto this one. And I feel like this could be like a cool 2x1 sort of crop here. Enter custom 2x1. Yeah, nice. Full screen that shit. Yeah, very nice, very grungy. Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna wrap up the shoot there. Well, not the shoot, we have wrapped up the shoot. I'm gonna wrap up the editing tutorial there. Thanks for sticking around and watching. It was great to sort of learn this new editing software. As you could imagine, I haven't really spent a lot of time using it right now. There are other editing softwares, which I can't say, that I've been using for a lot longer. So naturally when you start something, obviously, just like anything, it takes time. I still had a lot of fun using this program, and I really do think it is an amazing piece of software. So if you are looking at some sort of editing software for your photography, I think Lumina AI really offers a pretty affordable and reasonable editing software for photography, really. Considering the amount of artificial intelligence in that software and how easy it is to edit your photos, it does a pretty exceptional job. So Lumina AI is a one-time payment software, which I love because I fucking hate subscriptions. A lot of the other things I pay for are subscription-based, and it kind of drives me nuts. And my bank account sort of hates me. So I think this sort of helps if you want to save up a little bit of money and you're looking for an editing software. Lumina AI is a pretty affordable alternative to other subscription-based editing softwares. I feel like I've said editing software about 50 million times, but just so you know. You can currently pre-order Lumina AI, but it will come out later this year to buy anyway. But if you want to get it now for a cheaper price, you can click the link in my description. Quick shout out to VSpec Performance for bringing out their NSX for that photo shoot. They've got a lot of other Japanese cars that I'm really interested in shooting. They recently got a hold of this Type R NSX, which they were telling me about. So maybe we can sort of take that out for a photo shoot. And plus they've got a huge collection of GDRs and stuff as well, which would be awesome to take photos of. But anyway, that's for a future video. I hope I taught you something new in today's video. I learned a lot about Lumina AI. If you did like this video, leave a like down below. Help me out by hitting subscribe. But with that all said and done, have a shit one, and I'll see you in the next one. The more you take the piss out of something, the better it becomes personally. That's why I started doing the whole stupid curly head photographer does whatever. Because it's just fucking funny, man. Like, you can't help but laugh. And so, wait, what is this word? Banal?
Banal. And baby, you want to do some banal?
Shoe baby.
Got banal?
This is getting the thumbnail. Does it look stupid?
Yeah.
Can I say?